How's everybody doing? Yeah, everybody's going to remember to be social and ask your questions. Hashtag or tweet them to SimplyLA, hashtag SimplyLA. So we got an amazing group of babes here, and this is a panel on how to build your business from the ground up. My name is Melinda Fleming. I'm a blogger, style and travel blogger on the website curatedcool.com. I travel a lot, using a lot of style in that, and I have my own line of products called Hashtats Temporary Tattoos. But let's meet these beautiful women, and please introduce yourselves and tell us a bit about your business. And yeah.
Hi, my name is Stephanie. I am one of the founders of Coveteur. So if you're not familiar, we are a media company. The site started with us going into the homes and closets of different tastemakers within the fashion industry, and over the past few years has grown from that into, you know, really a luxury lifestyle platform that covers everything from fashion to beauty to health and wellness to travel to interiors, and that's what we do.
Woo! I'm trying not to talk too loud because my voice is very loud. Hi guys, my name is Sazan Hendrix, and I'm so excited to be here. Some of you guys that are here may know me as fashion and beauty blogger, YouTuber, Instagrammer, blogger, but I'm actually sitting on this couch today, and I'm really excited because I'm here to talk about Blessbox, which is a company that I launched just 7 months ago. It's a subscription box company. It's right out there in the corner if you didn't already see it, the big red boxes. And I'm just really excited because Blessbox has been sort of like a dream of mine that has come to life. And it's crazy to be sitting here and to talk about it with all of you guys. And just in a nutshell, it's the ultimate box that has a little taste of everything from fashion and beauty to lifestyle, health, fitness, style. It's kind of my blog in a box. So I'm really excited to be here and to talk about that.
Hi guys, I'm Mandy Fry. I'm from Amuse Society. I am the co-founder and president. We started in 2014, and we are a women's beach lifestyle brand that sells in the surf lifestyle channel as well as the contemporary fashion market. We started in 2014. We are out of Costa Mesa, and we have a direct-to-consumer business as well as a global international wholesale business.
Hi, everybody. My name is Toni Ko. I am the founder of NYX Cosmetics, or some of you guys may know it as NYX Cosmetics. And I owned and operated the company for 15 years. Then I sold the company in 2014 to L'Oreal Cosmetics. And I went on a long vacation. I took exactly 1 year off, and then I got really bored. So started my second company, which is PERVERSE Sunglasses. We have our booth right there by the main entrance. So after this, please go ahead and stop by. Thank you.
I love the diversity of the different channels and platforms these four women are in, and I'm actually excited to learn more all about you as well. So if anyone wants to just jump in, talk about your startup story, or perhaps what was your inspiration to go that next step, or maybe change what you were doing in the moment to a new career or a new side project or business?
Sure. So Coveteur really started as a pure passion project. I am from Toronto, but I was living in New York and got recruited for a job back in Toronto. And my parents were like, you have to take it. You have to move home. Like, you can't be in New York anymore. So it was honestly like worse. And everyone was like, it's going to be great. And it was so bad. It was awful. And I was so miserable. So, I started just doing styling on the side. I was styling in New York, and from there I ended up styling a lookbook, and that's where I met the other two founders of the company on set for that. And then the next day we were like, that was really fun. Let's do another project. We came up with the idea for Coveteur, and we're sort of just doing it and, you know, banking all of our content. And then the day it launched, we were like, I wonder who's going to go on it. And then the site crashed the day it launched. So people ended up really liking it, and we still kept it as a side project for another few months until we felt like we had gotten some money from some clients, and we could all afford to take like the world's smallest salary. And that's really how it started. I really never saw myself as having my own business. Like, it was never something that I thought that I would end up doing. So, and I always tell people, you know, when they say they want to have their own company, I'm always like, if I could do it, you like, I didn't go to business school. I didn't, you know, do any of that stuff that people usually do in order to have their own company. So
what was your aha moment that you said to yourself, okay, you know what? We can do this.
Honestly, I think I always say like now, I think it's because I was younger and didn't understand consequences or like anything. I was like way more fearless. It was 6 years ago. I was in Toronto. I was like, well, if it doesn't go well, I can move back in with my parents or that. Like, we never thought to not do it. I feel like now if someone said to launch a company, I'd be like, no, there's no way. No, what about this? What about that? Like, risk, money, where am I going to, I don't know. I think, yeah, it's like better to not know anything.
Yeah, no, hey, sometimes you just got to take that leap of faith. Sazan, how about you?
What was the question again?
Yeah, absolutely. Your startup story, like you were already an influencer, a blogger. And so what was your impetus and your inspiration to go, you know what, I'm going to do this other thing and, you know, branch out my business?
You know, for me, I think, you know, I started blogging like over 4 years ago. It started off as a hobby, something fun. And then I moved to LA from Texas. And I realized there was so much opportunity out here just from meeting girls. And so for 3 years, I really did focus and hone in on my personal blog and my YouTube channel. And it really started to pick up. I started working a lot. And I guess you can say it got to a place where I was really feeling comfortable, you know, like, okay, this is good. Yeah. But I think for me, and you know, my husband works with me full time, and we have a couple of other team members that we hired. We all kind of got to a place where we were like, where is the Sazan brand going? You know, with blogging and YouTubing, it's such an exciting space, and it's still fairly new, but we realistically don't know how long it's gonna last. And to be honest with you, I've got a baby on the way, and I'm just like, how long am I gonna be able to wear crop tops and post a photo? Like, you know, it's like, for me, I always felt like I needed something else, like an extension to what I already had. So for me, creating Blessed Box really was a project that I thought of from the ground up. I didn't know how in the world I was going to make it happen. I just prayed every night, and I was like, God, bring the right person into my life that's going to help me launch this idea. And that's exactly what happened. I feel so grateful that the right person came into my life, who happens today to be my manager as well as my business partner. He not only invested in Blessed Box, but he helped me come up with the entire concept from a business standpoint, because like you, I didn't have a business background, you know what I mean? I just knew how to be myself. So we really kind of meshed our ideas together, and then I realized, okay, this is like my baby, you know? And if all else fails with blogging, or I get tired, or there's just too many gray hairs on my head and I can't do it anymore, at least I know I have Blessed Box, and we can really grow it and really make it an experience for people other than just another regular old subscription box.
Yeah.
So it's just been really, really great, and I just encourage everyone here that may have a personal blog, or you haven't started a blog yet, really think about that bigger picture. Because I really wish I did when I started blogging, was like, what's the 10-year plan? You know, I only thought about what's my 6-month plan, and I went from there. But it's really important to think about your long-term goal. And Blessed Box really kind of evolved from my blog and learning and everything like that.
And I think also, like, once you just jump and do one thing, then that leads to something else, leads to something else, leads to something else. Like, I think, Mandy, you didn't see maybe how big Coveteur was going to be, and look how big it is, and vice versa. Toni, you already had a successful cosmetics company. What was your leap into starting something different with sunglasses?
Yeah, so I started NYX long time ago. I started NYX in 1999. I bet some of you guys were not even born in 1999. So so I sold the company because I wanted to retire. I mean, I was married to the company. It was my child. It was my husband. It was just my entire being. And I was just basically living out of my luggage, constantly traveling to meet customer, vendors, just everything. And like, I think at one moment, I just kind of like headed up to my throat, and I felt like I was sinking. I had no personal life, no work-life balance, zero. And then that's when I decided to sell the company, and then the whole process took about a year. I sold the company. Now I thought I was gonna just like go sit by the beach and drink pina colada all day long. And then like day 2, I got bored. Like literally, I woke up in the morning and I was like, what am I gonna do for next 18 hours? Like, what am I gonna do? I had no reason to wake up to. So that's when I realized that, you know how we talk about work-life balance all the time, and to some people, working all the time may be their balance. And I realized like that's what makes me happy. So I needed to have another project. But when I sold my company to L'Oreal, I had a non-compete. So I cannot be in cosmetic business, skincare business, or nail care business for 5 years. So I had to wait that out until I could jump back into the business that I know that I'm an expert at. So I had to look for another business to start. And you know, when you start a business that's either you sell a product or a service, whatever you sell, you have to have a passion and love for it, and you have to be an expert in that industry. So I started to make a list of everything that I love personally in my life, and that was food, fashion, shoes, da-da-da-da-da. And then I started to dissect pros and cons of the business, and like food is, you work with a small margin, one mistake could knock you out. Fashion, like the fashion cycles too fast. Shoes too bulky for storage, too many sizes. And then I'm like, I used to collect sunglasses myself, and I'm like, oh my God, this is such an amazing business. Like this is one industry where I could take what I know from my previous experience and implement, because sunglasses is one industry where there's like one giant that owns everything. That's why your Gucci's and your Tom Fords are $300, $400, $500, and like they're pushing the ceiling. And I see sunglasses for $1,000, $2,000. It's because it's dominated by one company. It's a $3.6 billion business, and it is one company owns 86% market share, which is unheard of in any industry. And then like kind of that middle price point, like there isn't a lot of brand in that middle price point, and that's when I went, okay, ding, 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 this is what I'm gonna do. So I started the second business, Perverse Sunglasses, exactly 365 days after I sold my first company.
Wow, that's really impressive. And now, sorry, thank you. Now on to Mandy. I do apologize, I called Stephanie Mandy earlier. Mandy, you come from a corporate background, I understand. And how did you transfer? I think a lot of people, you know, they have, I don't know, cubicle jobs, office jobs, or jobs they're just not passionate about, or they are passionate, but how do they make that leap? And so how did you make that leap, and why did you make that leap?
I had been working in the surf industry. I live in Orange County, so surf industry is what you do when you live in Orange County for the most part. That's kind of dominates the sector down there. But I had been working in the surf industry for almost 20 years, and I was always a part of a division of a men's business, and I just had this really strong desire to break out on my own. I knew there had to be a way of creating a women's business in the beach lifestyle culture that could also transcend and sell into the contemporary fashion market as well. So after working for what was OP, Quicksilver, Billabong for 15 years, I had a short stint at Volcom. After Billabong of 15 years, they asked me to come and restructure their women's division. I then just was like, I've got to be able to do this on my own. There was just wide open market space. There was really no one that was straddling both markets for that beach lifestyle. So in 2013, I started really putting together my ideas and put a brand book together and started going out and shopping for funding. I quickly, after a few funding, for any of those of you who have done it, a quick few funding meetings, and I quickly realized that my partner was going to be a very, very strategic move and someone I was going to be married to for the next however many years. So I ended up partnering with my former CEO of Billabong. He had left Billabong. He had a home in my neighborhood. I got on my bike, put a bottle of wine in my basket, pedaled over to his house, and I said, look, I want to start my own women's brand, and I need some mentorship. I need some direction. Can you help me with funding? So he ended up going to a couple of meetings with me with some capital of interest, and I quickly, again, realized that I needed to strategically pick my partner. So after the last meeting, we went out into the parking lot, and I'm like, you get me, I get you, you understand my vision, and are you willing to fund this idea? And he was willing to fund it, and he was also willing to do all the back-end operation. So that was December of 2013. January of 2014, we opened business. I started hiring my team. 3 of them are here today. And we hired 10 girls and started the brand. And we all worked satellite for about 4 months. We found our office space in Costa Mesa. 4 months later, we set up shop. And since then, we've been really working together in building this brand. And I will tell you, it takes everyone having the same vision and all wheels going in the same direction. A brand is really an extension of you, and I think that's how we've been able to stay authentic and really show our consumer that we're not just a fast fashion brand, but we are a true lifestyle brand with a lot of brand DNA, and that's becoming from an extension of myself and also the people I've put around me, having that same dream and that same vision and speaking to that same consumer. So it's been 4 years, and we're still building, but like I mentioned before, we've been able to successfully build a global wholesale business as well as a direct-to-consumer business, and we've got a lot ahead of us.
Congratulations, Mandy. I think that, I mean, for everybody up here, there's a major leap of faith that you have to take to start your own business. Do you agree? So, and also after the talk, we're going to open up the questions to the floor. So please be tweeting at Simply Stylist XO and use the hashtag SimplyLA, because I know I have a million more questions, and I'm sure you do too. So the next question, if it looks easy, it's not. Struggles and adversities. Please, I want to know from you.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I think, especially now, I've been having this conversation more and more with other people who own businesses or just friends of mine where, like, especially with social media and Instagram, and everything looks like so amazing for everyone, and it's super easy. Like, it's literally that whatever you think it is, it's the opposite. And I think sometimes it's easy to become discouraged because it looks so easy for everyone else. But it's like fake Photoshop. Like, it's not, that's just my little PSA of like, don't let that discourage you. I would say the hardest sort of struggle, at least for myself in the beginning, was really finding balance. Like, I was really so consumed. I'm sure it's the same with everyone else.
You mean like a work-life balance?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like, I just, saw friends who didn't understand sort of drift out into the abyss, who I don't talk to anymore, and, saying no to family things and always being on the road. And I think that it was exciting, but I definitely felt like I had no balance. So that's something, that I think I've been trying to do a better job of. And then, another struggle for me, it's not a bad problem to have, but we're growing, and as we staff up, I find myself handing things over to other people, which causes me a massive amount of anxiety, and managing people, like all of these other sort of internal things that I never really considered have been, at least for me, something that I found that I really had to work on in terms of managing people, handing things off, giving direction. I think I'm getting better at it, but it's definitely something that, at least for myself, took really like a lot of work.
Yeah, building a business, it's so personal because it's your baby, So to relinquish certain control, or to be able to go, you know what, I need to delegate to go to that next level, it's really, really, really hard. I would love to hear some more struggles and adversities from the panel.
I can talk about this all day long. I got to be super honest. That's just how I am. I was a full-time blogger, YouTuber, digital influencer, and still am, and that in itself is a full-time job. Throw in a second company into the equation, a company that you don't just want to put your name on or be the face of. Like, for me, I knew if I was going to launch Blessbox, I really wanted to be involved. But with that has come so many struggles because I'm trying to juggle, like, how do I, both brands feed each other. So, you know, if I just don't pay attention to my personal brand and the blogging and the YouTubing, the strategizing and the creatives and the standing on chairs to take photos and all that stuff and editing, then how am I going to be able to, you know, dip the other foot into Blessbox and really give it my all? So I'm still learning, you know, and every single day you can ask my husband, like, I probably have a panic attack at some point, like, oh my gosh, should I be doing this? Should I be doing that? And I'm like, maybe I should have majored in business. Like, what was I doing? And, you know, and I think that's completely normal because I think in our world with being creative and being in the digital space, especially where both of my businesses thrive, I'm constantly learning, like, okay, like, I really have to give my time, and the time that I give has to be like 100% like in it. And, you know, just like she said, when you start to hire people and bring other people on board, whether that's personal or your like separate business, like Blessbox, when I did that, I, you know, have reached certain challenges where sometimes I'm having to like speak up at meetings and say like, wait guys, that's not actually my vision. Like, this is what I want in 6 months, but I hate hurting people's feelings. And I've had to learn, like, in the business world, like, you really have to stand up for what you believe, because just like you said, when it comes to the vision, if not everyone is on the same page, then the brand goes in all different kinds of directions. So I think for me, there's times where I'm like, did I really think about the vision when I really launched this? Like, did I really spend some time really thinking about it? Because when I get excited about something, I just launch it and I'm like, let's do this. And I'm really learning now that if I need to backtrack a little bit or I need to change things up, maybe the red box, maybe I want to go dusty pink, you know what I mean? Maybe I want to change some things. That's okay for me to speak up and say that. And it's hard because I like work with a lot of men, and I'm not trying to pull that card, but I'm just like, you know, you trust your business partner because he's like big and he can be your dad, and you're just like, yeah, what do you think? And then he tells you, and I'm like, and then I tell Steve, that's not happening, you need to tell him that because I don't want to tell him. And I found that to happen a lot, and Stevie's like, you need to be on that call and you need to tell him what you think and what you want for Blessbox, because I have 50% in the company and then he has the other 50%. And so I've had to have conversations like that, and it's so different than my day-to-day when I'm like blogging and stuff, and it's so much different than like dealing with the hater comments. Man, those were the easy days. Now I've got to be the hater and tell my business partner, I don't like that. That ain't happening. So I'm just really learning, and I have so many different ideas and goals for my box that I'm starting to go back to the drawing board on some things. And I think another, just in the subscription box world, another adversity is you just, like, everything's handpicked by me. So I can't just put anything and everything in this box just because, like, we need product for July. What can we get? And it ends up being this crappy thing that I don't even think I would like or that my audience would like. So many of my subscribers are my followers, and I feel like they've invested so much in me and they trust me. So I've just really had to be like honing in on Blessbox. And if there's something in there that sucks or that they didn't like, I really take it personally, and I'm like, okay, maybe I need to work on it. And I look at the percentage of how many cancellations did we get this month and that. And I'm really learning now how to really be a businesswoman, I feel. And
that's awesome.
It's exciting, but it's scary too. And I can't sit up here and say I know it all, because I don't. I'm 27. There's a baby on the way. I'm like, how am I going to balance all of this stuff? And I'm a human. I still want a life. And so I'm just learning every day and just trying my best to be completely transparent with my team. Like, I don't know, like help a sister out with this kind of thing.
That's awesome. I think also, like, with adversity, sometimes you need, shit to happen to like be able to pivot and go, you know what? Now I'm going to move this way, that way, whatever. And I think when starting a business, we think, okay, it's going to be like this, and you have to be moldable and pliable, and you just have to go where your audience wants you to kind of go. Like, you can have a vision just for so long, but you have to, I think it's one thing, another. Anyway, amen. I would love to hear more adversity. Mandy?
I would definitely agree with everything both of you have said. I think even though we have different businesses, we all struggle with similar things, from capital to building a team and leading that team. There's so many different topics I could talk about, but just to zone in on one, and my team and I were talking about this on Friday, it's definitely the fear of missing out, which is what all of us experience, but you do
Always.
get but you actually do get that in when you're building a brand. And what we've really come to realize and learn very quickly early on is that you don't pay attention to, you're aware, but you don't worry about who's next to you and who's behind you and who's coming up behind you with more money and who's ahead of you with more of a heritage brand that has a lot more people and a lot more funding. And you really just stick to who you are and what you're doing and be authentic to you. And again, let it be an extension of you and not go through your day having that fear of competition. And we need it, and I'm driven by it for sure. But it also can take you down pretty quickly.
Amanda, you bring up a great point, because I think it's so hard when you're building a business to not be influenced, or not be influenced, but of course you're paying attention to what's going on around you, and it's really hard to have to put those blinkers on to stay focused, to go, you know what, I'm going to shut the noise out and I'm going to build my business, and then you're going to love me later. So, easier said than done. How do you hush those noises while you're focused moving ahead?
Well, I think social media definitely has its place, and it's been essential in the growth of our brand, that's for sure. But you can actually, as we all know, can spend your day, your lifetime getting lost in it, and really, 30 minutes can go by rather quickly. So one way to combat it for me, personally, is not to spend too much time on social media, and I have very regimented times that I allow myself to do it. It's not something I'm like just feeding through all day long. And as far as my competition right next to me, I definitely am aware and definitely not naive to what's around me whatsoever, but I'm not going into stores and flipping through the racks and really focusing on what fabric they're doing and what color they're doing and why didn't I think of that, and oh my God, what photographer are they using, and I should have thought of that, and what model. We can get easily caught up in that, and the moment I start doing that, I'm like, stop. What's right for Amuse? What's right for our brand? What feels right at this time? Whether it's a color palette, a print, or whether it's a model or photographer, and really going back, and that's when your team comes into play. I mean, that is just such a strong part of having those people to rely on and lean on, and for their advice and their direction and their opinion, because they know the brand almost as much as I do, if not more at times. They all have their place in the brand, and they've been there since the day one, and so really relying on them for their insight.
That's a great example of great brand DNA. Mandy knows who she is, who her company is. That's why when all these other little flies and stuff come around, she's not, this is what I'm taking away, you're not undeterred because you know who you are. Would you say that's correct? Okay. Toni, I'm dying to hear your struggles and adversities and what we can learn.
Wow. So, when I started my first company, the landscape was just completely different from what it is now. There was no social media, there was no Facebook, there was no Instagram. It's just pure sweat equity back in the days. And even the word entrepreneur, people use a lot, but 1999, when you own a business, you're just a business owner, you're not an entrepreneur. Like, just a fancy word, right? So when I first started, it was a one-woman company. It was me, myself, and I did everything from packing boxes to cleaning bathroom to writing orders, doing the sales, and I even delivered I used to pack the boxes and deliver the boxes to my customers. And when they used to call, and then I didn't want people to know that it was such a small company, so I would pretend like I was the receptionist. I would answer the call and say, hello, NYX Cosmetics, and if they asked for me, I actually put them on hold, step back, come back. I did that whole thing. And the first 6 years, I did not take any vacation, and for the first 3 years, I took zero salary from the company, and because building a strong financial brand and a company is imperative when you start a business. So every dollar that came in, I put 100% of it back into the business so I could have a strong foundation. Now, so then, to save money, what did I do? I lived at home with my mom, and I borrowed one of the card that was just available at home, and I used that card to make deliveries to customers and everything. Now, the reason it is very important is because if you don't have a strong foundation, financial foundation, then you have to continuously raise capital. And as you raise capital, you dilute your shares. And so at the end of the day, what does it matter if you sell your company for $1 billion when you only own 3% of the company? So in the beginning, don't spend money. Like, look at every dollar as your hard work, sweat, equity, and just build a really strong foundation. And so the toughest thing for me was as I was getting closer to selling the company, because I had a lot of people who had worked for me for a very long time. But as a company grows, not everybody can grow with the company. So as a business owner, the most important thing is you have to be able to let people go and bring on a people who's capable at the right time. And it's you work with people, and it becomes emotional, You're not just an employer-employee relationship. You spend a lot of times together, and you like them on personal level. And that's the hardest thing in business for me, is that human relationship, that human feeling. But you have to remind yourself that your number one duty for your company, for your brand, is to do things that's right for the company and the brand. And sometimes you do have to let go the people who you spend a lot of time with and have personal relationship with. And that's the hardest part for me.
So in essence, are you saying that you had to downsize to grow bigger?
No, not to downsize. We were adding people, okay. But I had to let go a lot of people who had worked for me for more than 10 years. Got it. But I had to let them go because they've had maxed out on their capacity.
Yeah, that happens, right? I think that's no easy feat, saying bye-bye to anybody. But, everybody has a shelf life, perhaps. So there's a great quote that says, if you don't have a map, how do you know where you're going? So this leads me to my next question about business plans. I know I believe in them, and I would love to talk to anybody that would like to answer, like, how did you create a business plan? Did you use a vision board? That's not dead. And how did you map out and track your goals to keep them?
I guess I'll go first from here. So with my first company, a lot of people say, so how did you do it? And my answer is, I was young and stupid. I was 26. I didn't even know what a business plan was. So the first business was born without a business plan. Now, the second business, I did an extensive market research, and I put together a 200-page business plan. Now what happened? My first company was hugely successful. My second company, I struggled for the first year. It was so difficult because I put too many details into my business plan. And I always say, when you start a business plan, put a really good business plan together, but know that you have to be flexible, you have to be moldable. Business will never go as you plan. It will always shift to the left, shift to the right, and you have to be able to be flexible and adjust yourself and adjust your course.
It's interesting you say that you put too much into your business plan. What would be an example of putting too much? I was a little bit too ambitious with my business plan. So I had a plan to put in 135 retail stores in 5 years, and I had the number of stores that I was gonna open on each day of the year. And that was my goal. So I basically put a guard on myself, right? So I'm like, I got to open 135 stores. I got to sign 10 leases this month. So I went go. And I had signed 5 leases. The first 3 months I opened the business. And what happens is, and then I opened the book and I'm like, oh my God, the retail stores are not working out. Where I was making money was on the wholesale business. So I should have
I should have taken the money that I had invested in opening up a retail business and put that money towards opening a wholesale account. So those are the mistakes. Those are huge mistakes, right? Because I was so gung-ho on my own business plan that I did not give myself enough time to maybe open one store, step back 6 months, look at the business, and then decide whether whether it was a profitable business for me or not. So.
No, we learn as we go along, right? So that's great. Anybody else have any?
So it was the exact same for us. We didn't have a business plan, and we only really started to make one about a year into it, and it was pretty rough. Like, not rough like it was bad. It was just sort of like a broad outline of, you know, who our competitors were, where we saw opportunity, where we wanted to be. And it was only about 2 years ago when we hired our CEO that we really sat down and really sort of started doing financial modeling and how are we scaling the business, how many people are we adding to our sales team, who do we need to put in editorial. And I think that, to be completely honest, Jake, who's my business partner, and myself, like, we didn't know how to do that. Like, if someone said come up with a business plan, we would have been like, I don't even know what you mean. So having someone come in who has done it before, who can help us, was super important. And then I think also what we learned is that, like, similar to what you were saying, like, it could change. That plan that we've made, whether it's projected revenue or headcount or when we're going to go out and raise money, like, it's all changed, but at least there's some, you know, overarching document that even if we do have to change it, we can refer back to it. And it's been really helpful. Like, also, every single dollar that we make gets invested back into the company. It's like we're hiring, we're trying to get a new office, we're just continually putting what we make back in. So being able to say, okay, now let's shift to this, how much money can we allocate it? It is actually very helpful, but we didn't have one in the beginning. And I think that that's also a benefit because it allowed us to sort of be authentic and play with a bunch of different things and not feel really constrained by anything. But down the road, I do think it's important to have.
And then you have a business manager now, somebody, your CEO you mentioned. Do you still, of course you add value, so do you still find inspiration on your own that you bring to the table? I'm sure that would happen.
Yeah, I think actually it ended up probably being more once he came in. The business was at a point where, like, I was trying to do employee contracts and we had a small round of investors and trying to deal with them, and it was just taking up so much of my time, and I was so not good at it, and I didn't have experience in it, that I was completely removed from every other part of the business, and that was not beneficial. Yeah. So then having someone who could come in and, you know, do employee contracts and set up our payroll and help us get our office in New York, while then I can focus on who are our new partners, what cities do we want to be traveling to, how are we promoting our book. It actually sort of allowed for more creativity than it did before.
Awesome. So before we turn to the audience for some good old Q&A, I would love everybody to give, like, everybody in the audience just one or two pieces of nuggets of gold that, you know, like, I don't know, you still believe in today that maybe nobody believed in you, or just for business. Like, what's a takeaway that everybody can take?
I think my takeaway is the fact that even when you think you can't do it, and even when you think it's not possible, if you're a super resourceful kind of girl, like I found myself to be, it's pretty amazing what you can do. And I think the number one key for me was leveraging relationships. And the 20 years that it took me to get to build my own brand was building relationships. And that has helped me. The person that I was close to for a very long time, he actually helped me build my business plan. I didn't know how to build one, but I also knew that I did not want to start out of my garage, that I was too old for that. I was too far past that, and I knew that I needed to start something on a larger scale. So for my type of business, I knew I needed a business plan. So leveraging those relationships, just one example, but I think that's so important when you're even thinking about it, because if you start talking to people and you start sitting down and expressing to them what your dream is, and for me, sitting down and saying, I want to start my own brand, I mean, I'm sure a million girls say that every day, but it's amazing how many people you can get to listen, and people who really respect you and want the best for you and have seen you along your journey. And you can find people who are willing to sit and listen and help you, whether it's one person who helped me put together my brand book, another person my business plan, another person connected me with people who are part of funding accounts. And so you just talking to people and really believing in yourself and believing that there's a way that you can get this done. And it might just seem like a silly, frivolous dream, but it is possible once you start talking to people and really spending the time and taking those meetings.
Thanks.
I think my advice is, I just kissed this mic. My advice is, take it from me, you know, a girl that I worked in banking prior to starting a blog. I started it in college at the University of North Texas, not knowing what my purpose was, what I was going to do with my life, and I'm not where I'm at today because I got lucky, you know. I think each and every single person in this room has a unique story. Everyone in here has their own unique individual purpose, and I think whatever business you launch, whether it's in clothing, whether it's a subscription box, I mean, whatever that business is, I think it's so important that the skeleton of that business is just built on who you are as a person, and not to forget that, you know, not to forget your heart. Every single business meeting you walk into, not to feel intimidated like, oh my gosh, I need to walk in here and act like I'm just taking over the world. I think just remembering who you are, and I believe that honestly, just by being yourself and putting out just positive energy and building those relationships with the right people when they come into your life, there's something so unique there that helps lift and elevate your dreams and encourage you. And, you know, we all have days when we want to sometimes hit the quit button or the, oh my gosh, what am I doing with my life button? And I just think it's important to never give up on what you love, what you believe. If you started something and you're like, I really am not passionate about that anymore, and I've been thinking about it, I've been praying about it, I've been doing all these, I know this isn't the path I want to go down anymore, that's okay too. And I strongly believe that I remember, I have to share this because Sarah told me I need to. The second conference was Simply LA. This was years ago when I moved from Texas to here. And I remember sitting out there just like you guys are. And I remember sitting there and I was fresh off the boat. No, that's FOB. I was like fresh off from Middle Eastern. Fresh off the plane. And I remember thinking like, oh my gosh, this city is so intimidating. How am I going to make a mark? Like, how am I going to stand out? Like, you know, the bold eyebrows are only going to take me so far. Like, so I just encourage every single one of you in here. I know it's a competitive market. Instagram's more competitive nowadays. Everything's saturated, but don't let that discourage you, because like I said, each and every single one of you has a purpose, whether you've tapped into it or not. And if I can sit up here, truthfully, I feel like anybody and their mom can. My dog can sit up here, I'm sure. Because really, if you put in the hard work and you have the talent, the drive, the energy, the motivation, really, you can achieve anything and everything. So that's my advice.
Great. Toni, last, do you have a 10-second tip? And then we'll get to question and answers.
Let's see. Learn how to say no. Very important. I've always been a yes person, and I say yes to too many wrong suggestions that had come my way. So learn how to say no, and always make a to-do list. And what I do is I do the easy things first. I check off easy items first, and then I get to the hardest item the last.
I like that. I've been doing it the other way. Oh gosh. All right, let's open the floor to Q&A. Who has a question? Yes.
So what's the biggest challenge you're facing in your business right now?
So the question is, what is the biggest challenge you're facing in your business right now?
Okay. I think for us, probably the biggest challenge we're facing now is being able to scale quickly enough without raising money that will like completely dilute us, and also doing it in a way that doesn't sort of let the brand go in a bunch of different directions. So really trying to grow in like a considered, financially responsible way. Like similar to what you were saying about looking at what everyone else, it's so easy for us. There's so many other digital platforms to be like, oh my God, but they did this pop up with Nordstrom and like we need to do this and like this and this and this and this. But honestly, it's really just about looking at what's right for your brand, what you can do with what you have, and sort of where you want to see yourself go. But it's definitely a challenge and does put, I think, a lot of personal pressure on. That's, at least for me personally, I would say the biggest challenge.
Anyone else? Any other questions? Yes, at the back? The question was, what is one or two applications, apps, or business module programs you use to keep your business successful and on track to move forward?
I could talk about that a little bit because sort of answering that is for my accounting system, I use QuickBook. But here's the thing, when you start a new company, it's imperative that you use a very small accounting system, because when I started my second company, the COO that I had hired thought that we should go and buy a NetSuite. NetSuite is a very expensive, very complicated program. Now what happens is when you buy a program that is too big for your company, then what happens is the program ends up running your company instead of the company running the program, and you become a slave to it. So buy a smaller program. And another app that is really, really good I recommend is Zenefit for any HR uses. You don't need to have in-house HR person anymore if you use Zenefit. It's an amazing program.
Fantastic. Anybody else have a question? Yes. So the question is, if you're branching into new markets, what's the best approach to go into a new market, whether you live in Canada and you want to branch out to America, or if you're from the East Coast and you really want to dominate the Southern California crowd?
I'll just say for me personally, the best market is the social media market and the digital space and the internet. So many brands have taken out money that they're putting into annual billboards and magazine articles because truthfully, they realize the power of the internet. And if you look around, everyone looks at their phones, checks it every 10 minutes or so. And so that's where the eyes are. And I think that if you allocate a certain amount of money in your business to put back into social media, whether that's Google advertising, Facebook is literally killing the game. Facebook ads has truly personally helped the Blessed Box business. I've never done any type of ads like that for my personal business. I've just grown organically through my social. But if you want to grow a company that doesn't have anything to stand on, Facebook ads has really been great for us at Blessed Box, and obviously me cross-promoting and mentioning and tagging on my own personal pages as well.
That's great. Anybody else have anything to contribute to that one?
I think, what's been helpful for us is when we go to a new city, we end up the premise of us going to a new city most of the time is to go into people's homes, and we found that sort of really local, hyper-local approach has been really helpful for us, because people, will then sort of promote feature themselves, their friends will see it, the word will spread. So that's been a really great tool for us. And I also think really dedicating time to spending in the markets that you want to be in, blocking off time, having meetings, meeting people, going out, just you can't pop in and pop out and then hope that somehow everyone's going to love you. You need to really put the time in.
So you need to test the market. So you might be, say, a shoe store from Delaware, but doesn't mean your shoes are going to hit it off in California and vice versa. You have to go do your research, almost like reverse engineer and test to see, you know, would it sell? Perhaps, yeah? Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
So when you're actually going out and testing the market, do you think it's more important to focus on the end customer and get in their heads and meet them, or better to make those relationships for your business?
So the question is, when you're going out and testing the market, are you, sorry, go? Are you focusing more on the end customer, or are you focusing on the business relationships and networks? Interesting. I mean, maybe both.
I think it's a balance for sure. But at this time and where we are social media-wise, I think the end consumer is definitely the focus and has to be for all of us. I think we're speaking to the consumers straight on more so than ever. But the retailer, obviously, we need them, and that's a big part of Amuse business. So for us, it's a real balance of speaking. And to answer the first part of your question on the Amuse side, we had to get people on the ground level pretty much in all countries. So again, leveraging relationships. We set up an office in Europe. We set up an office in Australia and Canada based on people that we'd already known and trusted and live in those areas. And then we hired distributors and sales reps throughout the rest. So that's the idea of maybe on a smaller scale, maybe on a larger scale, whatever it is you're doing, putting people on the ground level in all those places that you want to be in, who can really speak for your brand and wave the flag and tell the brand story, because it's hard to be everywhere.
Wonderful. Toni, Mandy, Sazan, Stephanie, thank you so much for being part of this panel today. I know I have learned a lot. I hope you guys have too. And thank you, everybody at Simply. You're doing an amazing job, and I hope you guys are enjoying the day.